Hello YouTube, and welcome to another Elder Scrolls lore video. Today we'll be answering a lore question that I get quite often in my Discord messages, so I just decided to dedicate a video on it. That said, this video won't be super long, so without any further ado, let's roll the intro and start with the video. Whenever we encounter dragons in an Elder Scrolls game, be it Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls Online, the Elder Scrolls Blades, or if you're a real fanatic, the Elder Scrolls Adventures Redguard, the dragons are always the massive and ancient, threatening beasts that we've come to know and love in the Elder Scrolls series. But it sparks the question, why don't we see any small, younger dragons, or baby dragons for that sake? Most people blame the absence of such creatures on lazy programmers and lazy modelers who simply don't feel like making more types of dragons than the ones that we already see in the games. And while yes, that might play into it, as that's the reason we probably don't see any Khajiit or Argonian children in the games. Just as before the Elder Scrolls Online, most animals didn't even have child appearances. But in the case of the dragons, there's an actual lore explanation for the absence of dragon children. That is because dragons are unable to procreate and never have been able to do so, as they are not mortal creatures. Let me explain. Dragons, in the most conventional theories, are said to be the direct children of Akatos, created in his image. They are in many ways more than just immortal. They are in a way timeless creatures, ever unchanging and ageless. From the moment a dragon is created, he will have existed longer in an objective sense than other dragons who have been created later, but the body of a dragon does not age, as they are the children of Akatos, the time god, and in a way they just exist out of time, as they are attuned to the flow of time. Very simply said, while the world around them gets older, a dragon does not change, does not develop by age. A dragon is created and will stay the same all of his life. For example, this dragon, he looked exactly the way he was when he was created. And, well, he will be the exact same as he is now, a millennium from now. While some dragons are younger than others in a purely timely sense, for example Alduin is the first dragon to ever come into existence and is thus objectively the oldest, all the other dragons are the same age as him from a body perspective. It's very hard to explain this and probably very, weird to hear it. As something that does not age and has never aged and does not evolve is hard to explain in a world like ours where everything ages and exists within time. I mean, even rocks get weathered with time, while a dragon is simply unchanging and exists out of time in a way. So for all terms and purposes they are immortal, not just by meaning that they will live eternally if not killed, but also meaning that they are literally nothing like a mortal, which is why the Dragon Rend shout, consisting of the words mortal, finite and temporary, is so effective on dragons, as it forces a dragon to understand the exact opposites of their entire beings. They are in a way closer to divine creatures than that they are to mortal creatures or animals. This means that ever since dragons were created, no new dragons have come into existence. It has always been the exact same number and would have stayed the same if some of them hadn't been killed by mortals. But even being killed by mortals means that a dragon is not truly dead, as we learn in Skyrim. I mean, a dragon can only truly be killed by the Dragonborn, that's the whole plot of the game. But that's not the topic of today's video. So, coming back to the concept of a baby dragon, no, it's not possible for there to be one, as dragons are created as we see them, ageless, timeless, immortal and genderless. This is also why there are no so-called female dragons, and in addition to that, no male dragons, as they are fully genderless and cannot procreate, as they're simply uniform in their being like that. Now, you might say,
but Zork, baby dragon pets are a thing in the Elder Scrolls Online.
And you would be very right and wrong at the same time. Now, just because they can't exist doesn't mean that our good friend ZeniMax hasn't tried to add them in a way to the game. As in the Elder Scrolls Online we can actually get a baby dragon pet. Now, how's that possible? Don't worry, ZeniMax has an explanation. This pet, which comes with the ESO Elsewhere expansion, is simply said not a real dragon. It's rather an illusion imp that disguised itself as a mini dragon, simply as an illusion. There's a green and a blue variant of this pet, and for both pets you have either Abner Thorn or Devate Fear mocking you for thinking it's actually a dragon, but still, I guess it's a pretty cool pet and house item. In addition to ESO, the concept of a baby dragon comes up a few times in lore. In the Elder Scrolls Blade you have an emote called the Baby Drake, which is not related to anything dragons, it's just a microtransactions version of that annoying baby shark dance. And in some lore books, references are made to dragon eggs, but in usually those same books, claims are being disproven by stating that it's either eggs of oversized lizards, sometimes even winged lizards, or simply they're oval rocks. Now, those winged lizards, you can say, are like dragons, but they're very different, as these are simply animals and not the eternal and unchanging creatures that actual dragons are. The closest we have come to actual baby dragons is in the game Daggerfall, where you have enemies called dragonlings. These are long theorized to be some sort of offspring of the dragons, but these dragonlings are completely unrelated to the dragons. They've got their own language called Draconic, which is actually completely different from Dovazul, the language of the dragons that we learn in Skyrim. They are, for all terms and purposes, completely different species, and they are mortal species, and thus inherently different from the eternal dragons that we know. Now, a final remark before closing this video. A former writer of the Elder Scrolls series, the infamous and controversial Michael Kirkbride, has written some stuff regarding dragons, long after he left Bethesda. He states, long after he left Bethesda, that there are in fact female dragons, but that they are rare and even more powerful than the male dragons, and can actually affect and change time by mending dragon breaks. These female dragons would be called Jills, and male dragons Drakes. Now, this hasn't been confirmed by official sources in any way, and I personally don't see it being added to the official lore in the future, but it's worth a mention as many people really do appreciate his writings, and I want to think about you guys too, because I know that a lot of you are watching. I personally don't consider it actual lore or canon, but since some do, I give it a mention, and you can make it out yourself. I mean, in the end, it's all up to your own preferences. But again, be careful with this stuff, as it's not official. So, with that said, we've reached the end of this short video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you stick around until the next video next Thursday. Before I end the video, allow me to thank my top patrons: Bernardo Binda, Metroid1v1, Gabriel Binda, Mr. Christmas, Mr. Para. These guys, along with the others on screen, are the ones who make my weekly lore series possible, and for that I am very grateful. That said, it's my time to go and work on the next video, which is a lot longer than this one. Well, actually I don't know how long it is going to be, but it's probably longer than 7 minutes. Bye-bye.